Hi, I'm Christa Jacobson, headmistress of the Budo, where we teach authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu. And for those of you who don't know what that is, those are the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. In today's video, we're going to have a discussion about many different things kind of all thrown into one, and the connection of all these things, right? We're going to talk about why violence and crime and all these hate groups is definitely on the rise. Should the discussion of all the hate and violence and crime that we see in the media, should that be a discussion inside a martial arts school? Should martial art teachers vet their students because of all of the crime and violence that we see? We're going to kind of dip into that kind of a conversation today while I'm out and about running errands. And I'm going to throw some things at you guys, and if you guys would like to share your thoughts on the subject, make sure you stick it in the comment section below. Now, before I get going, I always have an introduction to all of my new viewers, okay? So, if this is the first video that you have seen of me, I am Christa Jacobson. I am the headmistress of the Budo. We teach koryu ninjutsu and koryu bujutsu, which means the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. The school does have other areas of focus as well. So we also focus on reality-based self-defense, weapons training and tactics, survival skills, martial arts theory, thought and philosophy, martial arts conditioning. So if any of those topics at all interest you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget to click the bell, okay? So, because when you click the bell, you can keep up with everything that we're doing. You'll get the notifications. I do try to post at least 2 to 3 videos a week on all of the topics that I have just previously said. So if you're interested in those topics, subscribe to the channel. Right, so let's start talking about the violence and the hate and the crime and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of like start throwing this stuff at you, just throw my thoughts at you and see where we're going with it. So without doubt, if you look at the statistics, if you look at the crime rate, whether it's violent crime or non-violent crime, you look at hate groups that's been formed, various different militias, mass shootings, all these kind of things is on the rise here in America. I mean, that's just that you can't. If you look at the stats in the last 4 years, it's been way higher than the previous 4 years. Now, we can get into why and whose fault is that and all this kind of stuff. But in my opinion, I don't know that matters. And the reason I don't think it matters is because at the end of the day, people choose their own actions. They choose whether they want to be an ass or they don't want to be an ass. They choose if they want to be violent or they don't want to be violent. So, pointing fingers at or starting a conversation about why the violence is so high, I don't think that conversation matters. What matters is violence is higher now than it's been. Violent crime is higher now than what it's been. Mass shootings and aggressive attacks are up now more than it's ever been, and that's a statistical fact. And I think that's really what we need to worry about there. Not so much about pointing fingers and saying so-and-so's fault or so-and-so did this or so-and-so said that. We're all adults. We make our own decisions on what we do and when we do it. So we're not going down that road. I feel that if you're just teaching a martial art and you're just teaching it from an artistic perspective, and you're not really in the world of quote-unquote self-defense, reality-based self-defense, then I don't know. I guess it's up to whatever teacher. I mean, the teacher's in charge of their school. There's that. I mean, I just want to say that because I think every sensei or head master or head mistress or whatever term they go by, whoever the head of the school is determines what needs to be the focus. So there's that. So it's always going to be based on the individual who's running the school. I personally feel like it is a good thing for the conversations about, when the Capitol was raided, or when there was a mass shooting, or when there such and such. And I think that's important because one of the main keys to self-defense, or reality-based self-defense, and I know I've explained this before, reality-based self-defense, we shouldn't say that, we should say self-defense. Unfortunately, and I'm going to throw this out you, 90% of all martial arts are bullshit, and 90% of all reality-based, martial arts or whatever, it's all bullshit. Everyone's just trying to make money. I do believe that 90% of any art of any martial art, 90% of any self-defense school, 90% of all of them are only in it for the money. They're not really in it for the individual. So that's why I just think it's all bullshit. For me, I'm all about the individual and making sure that they have the skills necessary mentally, physically, and emotionally to protect themselves, the ones they love, and fight for the ones that can't fight for themselves. So for me, I personally feel that those discussions need to be at some level discussed in the class, because those are the situations that you would be putting yourself in. If you're going to be in a martial arts school and you're going to be like, okay, well, here the attacker has a wooden knife, right? But the attacker has a knife, and they're going to come at you like this and this. Oh, stick it in gear. This is your correct response to this attack. Okay, well, if you're going to go down that line, which every martial arts school role plays, and I know that's not a good term. Everyone doesn't like that term. They role play. It's what they do. This is the situation. If you're going to go down that road, you might as well also go down and discuss, okay, look at this situation. Look at what the people did. Look how they formed. Look at what the attacks was. Look at the position of the people when this person got attacked. This is not what they did. They should have bladed off here. They should have put their hand up here. This is the way to defend this specific attack. Best defense don't be there, right? So it's like, I think that if we're going to have the conversations of role playing and say, well, this is okay, this is the technique against this, I think that it's a viable conversation and an absolute necessity to talk about those things. Now, I think that also is predicated on what the teacher wants to do with their school. There are some schools that just teach an art, and they just teach an art, in which case it's probably modular training, and it's like, do this, get a belt. For me, we do teach classical ninjutsu, classical bujutsu, the arts of the ninja and samurai, but we also hang our hat on the skill set of reality-based self-defense, situational awareness, concealed carry, all that kind of stuff. And I think it makes it difficult to not discuss those topics when that's something that the school has a strong focus on. Now, with all of that being said, one of the things that I want to ask you guys, so you guys give me your thoughts on that, okay? You put that in the section below. But another thing I think is interesting is, should martial arts schools vet their students? We're at a time where crime is high, violence is high, both non-violent crime and violent crime. All these militias and hate groups are being formed. More people we have more, at least it seems like it, and maybe this part might be more of a perception and that sort of thing, but I'm just seeing more people believe like conspiracy theories that aren't backed up by facts more than the actual facts. And when you present them with facts, and regardless of anything, like when we talk about violence, violent crime is high, hate groups are high, violent attacks is high, mass shootings are high, I can show the statistical facts of that, and I can cite where I get that information. But when someone else, they could say, well, I believe blah blah blah, and whatever that is, and let's just say some form of a conspiracy theory. But then when you hit them with facts, they don't believe the facts. They believe an opinion. And so, with that being said, let's go back to the original question. What do you guys think about martial arts schools vetting their students? Give me your thoughts on that. Now, I can tell you where I stand. But everyone has the right to their opinion. Stick it down in there. I do vet my students. I'll be honest. I don't take everyone that walks in the door. I'm very selective. Just this last couple of weeks, I had one guy that was probably the most arrogant, egotistical, self-centered, self-conscious, self-image, self-everything, just bad, just an ass. Probably, he definitely rates in the top 3 in my martial arts teaching career of just being the most self-centered, egotistical, narcissistic ass. He's in that realm. And I'm going to make that video a different time. It doesn't really pertain to this one. This particular video, it kind of does if you all knew the situation. But the only thing that's really important to know is that when that person called for lessons, I go through a kind of a phone interview, and I talk to him because I don't want to waste my time if it isn't going to work out. And because I am selective. I teach classical ninjutsu, which is the art of, we're talking about spying, espionage. We talk about a lot of things, and I'm not teaching the skill sets that I teach, which are extremely violent, and someone can learn what I'm doing and use it the wrong way very easily. Like, if you learn Taekwondo, you would have to manipulate that somehow, some way, to make it as violent as you see with some of these muggings on TV, right? With Ninjutsu, you don't really have to manipulate, and Bujutsu, you don't have to manipulate it that much. It is very violent. So, and very aggressive. So I do vet my students. I have a phone interview when someone asks to come in, and this one individual that I'm talking about, one of my top 3, I've only had 3 people like this individual my whole career. That's why I say top 3. But I told him on the phone. He called, we talked, and I said, okay. He called during the time of COVID, and I wasn't taking new students at the time anyway. That's neither here nor there. Anyway, I told him, okay, I'll call you back in a few months, or whatever the time was, we were going to start taking people. As soon as we opened up, I give him a call. The whole time, I'm watching his social media, and I'm like, this ain't going to work. And I had a really bad feeling about it. I had asked, some of the other instructors there that are going to be do help teach classes, and I'm like, it's got a bad feeling. But I came to the decision, and it's my decision. I came to the decision that's like, you know what? Let's give the guy a chance, and I'm going to give him a call back. I gave him a call back, and then that phone call did not go good either. And I told him on the phone, I'm like, here's the deal. I don't really, and I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really care what sex or gender anybody is. Man, woman, male, female, trans, or otherwise. I just don't care. Also, I don't give a damn about race. I don't care what color or race or nationality or ethnicity you are. Black, white, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. None of that matters. I don't give a shit what religion you guys are. Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Satanist, atheist, pagan, Buddhist. Don't care. I don't give a shit what political party you align yourself with. Libertarian, Republican, Democrat, Independent, anti-government. Don't care. And the reason for that is there's bad people in every group. And it doesn't matter what race, religion, sex, gender, nationality, political party, whatever, blah, blah, blah. There are going to be people that are good people, and there are going to be people that are bad people, right? So to say that everybody from this group is not allowed to learn, I think I believe that's not correct. That's being very closed-minded. I think you have to be more specific. So it's kind of like an example. I'm going to use Christians as an example. They get beat up all the time, right? In the media. So there are people in my life that are Christians, and they're the most loving and caring people that I know, and they're very close to me in my life. There are other people who are Christians that, they're white picketing a fence, and they're the most hateful people that I know. So that's an example of, you really can't judge an individual by a group. You can, however, say, are you part of? And then you have groups that are specifically for hate. Well, are you part of these hate groups? Are you part of these militia? Do you support this individual or whatever? Because these individuals have proven themselves to be hateful. They've proven themselves to be someone that it's a certain, that spews hate or whatever. And I go through that in the interview. Now, this particular individual that I'm telling you about, this one particular student, he's like, no problem. I'm not part of any of that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. So I do go through and then he comes into the class, and then that's gonna go into another video about how this guy was only in the dojo a few months, but damn, that situation's a rough go. But anyway, my point is I do vet, because I don't want to teach people that are already supporting people of hate. Right? And there's just that. Now, is the list long? Absolutely not at all. Not at all. It's a very short list, but it's because it is a hate group. It's on TV. It's obvious that they're doing hateful shit, right? Or it's a person or organization that, is known for spewing hateful shit. I don't want to teach somebody in a world where violence is already on the rise, who are aligning themselves with people and groups that are already spewing hate and violence. So I think, for me personally, I think that's a good thing. I definitely do vet my students. Now, I do think, going back to the beginning of this conversation where I said it's up to every teacher, I think that if you're running a school and you teach kids, that's probably not something that that particular teacher of that school is going to do. You're not going to vet the children. At least I wouldn't think you would. But I don't teach children. I don't teach children because I choose not to. It's just not a thing that I would like to do. I teach adults. That's what I choose to do. On that note, and you turn the other side of the hand, right? I do believe that martial arts are good for children, and I think children should learn martial arts. I think children should find a sensei that's willing to teach them and teach them karate or self-defense or judo or aikido or jujutsu or whatever the art that they want to learn. I absolutely think that's a wonderful thing. I think martial arts for kids is a good thing. But what I'm teaching, I personally make the decision to not teach children. Our school is for adults only. And which is why I do address these situations in class, because I only deal with adults. So if you do have a school where you're dealing with like underage kids, whether it's like 16 years old, 15, 16, 17, they're underage, okay, well then those conversations are probably not appropriate. You know, if you're teaching martial arts and you're dealing with like, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, those conversations are definitely not appropriate. But if you're teaching a martial arts school and it's only for adults, which is the situation that I'm in, I feel that those conversations should be in there, because that's what you're training to be able to understand violence and how to react and act appropriately in an extreme, violent, aggressive situation. So, the questions for you guys, you guys who are either running schools or you're running a martial arts school or you're in a martial arts school, does your school talk about violence in the now, not just in the role-playing mode? And do you guys come up with realistic, rational scenarios of how you deal with if you find yourself in a mass shooting, or you find yourself where all of a sudden there's a violent mob in front of the building that you're at, or you find out that, the reality of what we're seeing every day? Do you guys have that conversation and discussion? Because I think that's more of an applicable conversation, because you get to have a discussion about true violence that's in the now that you get to see, not just in the role-play mode. But also, when you guys are learning martial arts, or again, if you're teaching martial arts or you're in a martial arts school, do you or did your sensei vet you before you came in? See, for me, ninjutsu was very violent and very aggressive. And the way you truly train in ninjutsu, and I know we can get into what is ninjutsu, right? Ninjutsu is not taijutsu. I'll say that real quick. Taijutsu is not ninjutsu. Those are two separate things, okay? So, yes, ninjutsu is a martial art. No, ninjutsu is not a martial art that does punch, punch, kick, kick. But it is extremely aggressive, violent, and it does change the way you think and look at things because of the way that, because it's training espionage and things of this way, right? So, spying. So in that sense, ninjutsu was never supposed to be for everyone. It was only supposed to be meant for a select few. And for me, I feel like I do need to vet the students to make sure that I'm not going to be teaching something to someone that is a highly aggressive, violent ass. Now, the person earlier, the student that I mentioned, that was like one of the top 3 most arrogant, egotistical, self-centered ass that has ever came into the dojo, he's not violent and aggressive, you know what I mean? So, which is one reason why I decided to be like, okay, I'm gonna take a chance, because he's not a violent guy. He's an ass, but he's not a violent guy. At least I don't think so. He never gave that type of a, oh, come on. He never gave that type of a feel to the situation. But I do vet them. And I think that in a world where crime and hate and bigotry and prejudice and sexists and racists are on the rise, I think that martial art teachers should take a little bit more responsibility for the individuals that's walking on the floor. Because if you're going to teach someone how to do things in a very efficient way in a violent situation, you should be making sure that the people that you teach these things to are going to be people of good character, right? So, there's my thoughts. I want you guys to stick it in the comment section below what you guys think. If this is the first video that you guys have seen of me, again, I'm Christa Jacobson. I am the headmistress of the Budo Dukai, which means School of the Warrior Way. If you're interested in learning authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu, please check out our website at www.budoninjutsu.com. There you can see a list of our schools, the 7 traditions that we teach, philosophies and strategies of our schools, and the areas of training. If you do not live next to one of our schools, you guys can always join the Budo Dukai online Ninjutsu Dojo, and you can start training with us today that way. So again, thank you very much for all of your love and support. I deeply appreciate it. Until next time, take care, be safe, and good luck in your journey of Budo. Bye.